So you're thinking about buying a home and you don't know where to start. Well, in this video, we're going to go through the buyer's process from beginning to end, short and sweet. So let's get right to it. Here we go. The first thing you're going to do when you meet with your realtor is discuss agency. Agency will allow you to understand the relationship that you have with your buyer's agent. They'll also explain to you the relationship that the seller has with their agent, the listing agent. In some circumstances, there's going to be dual agency. Dual agency is when the buyer's agent and the seller's agent are both with the same broker. So in the end, the broker gets a piece of both. You may also be asked to sign a buyer agency agreement. This agreement is going to tell you all the terms and define your relationship with your agent and allow your agent to fully represent you. Okay, so you met with your realtor, you understand agency, you've signed the buyer agency, now what? Well, now you have to get pre-approved. That means you've got to speak to a lender. People get very scared of this. It doesn't cost you anything, but you need to figure out how much money you want to spend a month. And a lender will help you take that monthly amount and convert it into a purchase price, depending on how much you're putting down and if there are HOA or condo fees attached. So you speak to a lender, you give them your social security number, they run your credit, they ask you to fill out an application, and then you're pre-approved. It really shouldn't take more than a couple hours. So you got a realtor, you signed a buyer agency, you're pre-approved. Now what? Now you get to go look at homes. You get to look at homes, get to look at homes, get to look at homes. You get to go look at homes. This is the fun part. Have fun home shopping. So you found a house. I'm so excited for you. But now what? Now you got to sit down with your agent and you got to write an offer. Contracts are long and complicated. I'm going to explain them in another video. For this video, let's just assume that you wrote what you wanted, your price that you wanted, how much you're putting down, inspections, when you're settling. You submitted it to the listing agent. Maybe the seller countered, maybe you countered back. They accepted your offer in the end, so now you have a ratified contract. So what's next? But wait, you say, didn't I give them money when I wrote a contract? Yeah, you did. Well, you didn't actually give it to them, but you are going to now. So when you write an offer for a house, you also give them a check, a personal check usually, called an EMD, Earnest Money Deposit. The earnest money deposit is an amount that you are showing the seller in good faith that you're willing to put down on the house right now. The listing agent will usually take the check and deliver it to the escrow agent, which is usually the settlement agency, but it can be the broker, and they'll deposit within 3 days. So you got to have that money in your account. How much is an EMD? Well, a good EMD is about 3 to 5%, just to give you an idea. But it really varies depending on the price point of the house. So your EMD is going to be deposited after your ratified contract. You found a house, you wrote an offer, it's accepted, you've given the listing agent your check, your EMD, they've deposited it. So now what do? Well, you've got to contact a home insurance company to find out if you can get insurance for the new home. Where I am in Maryland and DC, it's within the first 7 days of a ratified contract. All these timeframes may be different where you are, but I'm giving you pretty good general ideas of what they're gonna be. So you gotta call your insurance agency. Who do you call? Well, usually people will start with whoever insures their cars or renter insurance, or you can ask a friend, family. You just need to contact an insurance agency and make sure the home is insurable within the first 7 days here in Maryland and DC. You don't have to commit, but you gotta make that call. Okay, so now comes a bit of a tricky part, the inspections. So you've negotiated in your offer, in your contract, how much time you have to do your inspections. Let's just say for this example, you have a week. So you have a week from the day after the ratified contract date to do all your inspections. You can do your home inspection. You can do a radon inspection if you're from Maryland or DC. You can do any inspection as long as you do it within that time frame. The only thing you don't have to worry about right now is termite. You can do the inspection at the same time, but you don't have to, as it's a separate part of the contract. So we've done our inspections and we now are ready to negotiate. We get an inspection report, which will be probably around 30 pages. and it should have like a 2-page summary at the end, which will show the most important things the inspector thinks need to be repaired or replaced. We sit down, we go over the list, and we create a notice that we're going to give to the sellers. So the way I like to do things is I'll put the list of things that my buyers want repaired, but in lieu of repairing them, I'll ask the sellers to give my buyers a credit. I believe it's better for my buyers to have control over their own contractors. So for me, this is the way I prefer to proceed, but ultimately it's up to the buyers. So we write a list and we give it to the listing agent, who will share it with the seller. In Maryland and DC, they have 3 days to respond. They could take less, but the most they have is 3. They'll either say yes to everything, or they'll say yes to some and no to some, or they may just say no to everything. In any event, if they're countering, they give it back to us. Then we have 3 days. You get it? 3 days, 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. Hopefully we've set a pace that it's more like 1 day, 1 day, 1 day, but we do have 3 days. And at the end, we're either gonna have a meeting of the minds between the buyers and the sellers, or we're gonna void the contract. Okay, we got through the inspections. That is, in my opinion, the toughest part of the contract. After you do the original negotiation, everyone's excited. The inspections, it brings up things that are, wrong with the house. So it's not really fun for anyone, for the buyers or the sellers, but you get through it, onward and upwards. So now what? So now you do the appraisal. Well, the bank orders the appraisal. Not the buyer, not the seller, not the realtors, the bank. Whichever bank is lending the borrower the money, they're the ones that order the appraisal. The buyer pays for it, usually outside of the contract, but the lender orders it. Once again, you've written a time frame within the contract that you have to get the appraisal done. So within that time frame, and you've spoken to the lender to get that time frame, we don't make it up, the lender gives us their time frame. They order the appraisal, the appraiser goes to the house, they go in the house, usually the buyer is not there, the listing agent will meet them. They measure the house, they look at the upgrades of the house, they basically inspect the house, but not like an inspector, they just will see kind of the condition of it. They leave, they run their own comps, meaning the houses that are comparable to this house, and they'll come up with a value. And hopefully that value is your purchase price, because that's the money the lender is going to let you borrow. You've done your inspections, you've got the house appraised, you're looking good. So one thing I want to mention are HOA or condo docs. If the property is in a homeowners association or a condo association, you will have a time period to review these docs once you receive them. Once the lender gets back to the appraisal, and let's just be optimistic, it's appraised at value and you're good to go, your loan will be approved. So you may have thought it was approved before, but now it's actually fully approved because it all has to go through the underwriter. So now you have a full loan commitment and you're ready to go towards closing. So really the only thing that's left to do is your pre-settlement walkthrough and your utilities. The pre-settlement walkthrough will be the walkthrough that you're going to do with your agents right before settlement. Could be a day before, could be a couple days before. Usually if the seller has made repairs to a property, I'll do it 2 or 3 days before settlement just to check. Sometimes I will suggest to my buyers that they bring their inspector if there's a lot of repairs made. But if it's just a credit, then we usually will go the day before settlement and make sure the house is still standing, it's what we think it is. By now the sellers have moved out, so we can make sure there's no holes in the walls or dings and all that stuff. So you do your walkthrough and you head towards settlement. Okay, so if you're still watching this video and you're at this part of the process, I gotta say I'm super excited for you because you've really gone through a lot and you're right at the end. Just a few more things left that I gotta remind you of. Number one, you're gonna have to wire the money that you owe to the settlement company. So your loan is gonna be, in this example, 80%. Well, you've gotta get them the rest of it, the 20%, plus closing costs, minus the EMD. Remember the EMD? We gave that to them at the beginning of the contract. Well, now it's a credit. So your lender will tell you the amount. You wire that amount to the settlement agency. The lender sends them all your closing docs. and you head to settlement to close on your new home. Do not forget to call utility companies and set up your power and gas and water and cable and whatever else you want. It's a drag when you get those keys and you go and there's no power. So please don't forget that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. If you're looking to buy in Maryland or DC, please contact me. All my information is below. And if you enjoyed this video, please tell your friends and subscribe. Thank you so much, and really, congratulations.